On today's episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand, I got a chance to chat with Avi Moskowitz from Pretty Damn Quick. Oh, we had such a good conversation today, guys. We had a conversation all about, I'm actually using this software. Guys, these are not sponsors of the podcast. I just needed to have him on to talk all about this. We have, since implementing this software, our new customer rate has literally almost doubled. And this is the only change. This is the only change that I've seen lately. And it's all about building trust. It's all about really helping these new customers actually trust that you're going to deliver their product in a certain amount of time and just giving them that amount of time. We get into so many different things on this episode, guys. You are not going to want to miss this one. Hey guys, Jordan West back with another episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand. I am really excited about our conversation today. I connected with Avi probably a couple of months ago when I was really looking for a ShipStation alternative. That's sort of where our paths crossed. And as you guys know, I am a massive SendLane fan. And so I'm using SendLane now as an adjective. I said, hey, who else is a SendLane type ShipStation? And everyone was taking Avi and Pretty Damn Quick. And so I was like, well, I first of all got to try you in one of my brands. And then second of all, I got to have you on the podcast. So Avi Moskowitz from Pretty Damn Quick, PDQ is what we'll call them from now on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Jordan, for having me. Wow, I feel so fortunate that our paths did cross and we've had an opportunity to show you some of the magic under the hood.
Absolutely. And magic I have seen, guys. I'm really excited about getting to introduce this to you guys. Again, Avi's not a sponsor. I was just like, I got to have you on. We got to talk about some of these big issues that merchants are facing, especially in 2023, and some ways that they can actually help solve these problems and through, a tech solution. So let's get into this. Before we start, tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So my background, starting up companies my whole life. In 2015, got this, midlife crisis, opened a craft beer brewery in Israel.
You did? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Another reason.
That's great. And where was it?
In Israel. It's built
in Israel. Okay, cool.
Built in Israel, 2015. 2020, realized we need to build out a website. Building a website, figured we're going to put it on Shopify. Launched on Shopify January 2020. March 2020, met this thing called COVID. Suddenly exploded with orders, hundreds of orders a day, some days over 1,000 orders. And we were looking around for a solution. I was spending most of my day handwriting apology notes for not delivering orders on time, delays, and all the other things that we know about when you don't have systems and processes in place. Said there's got to be a better way. Together with my co-founder, Liran, we built a solution that, in short, brings an Amazon-like experience to independent brands. Now, what does that mean? So it can mean a whole lot of things. We all know Amazon. So the best way that I can describe the challenge is looking at the history of commerce, right? How do we know commerce? You walk into a retail store, you make eye contact with your customer. Customer sees the physical product, gets to the cash register, exchanges a currency or a credit card, and trust is really what follows the path of that customer through the store. As they get more confidence, and they do because there are people there and there's products there, they're more likely to complete the transaction. There aren't a lot of stores that are successful by chasing customers outside the store and saying, wait, I got an offer for you, free shipping, or I'm going to reduce the price. I meant you can get this free too, right? And
totally. They're like, I didn't want what you were selling. It's not, no discount is going to be good enough to get me in here. I'm not in the market for what you're selling. Why are you coming after me with all your marketing dollars?
But in e-commerce, right? That's what we see. And one fundamental challenges we have that starts with e-commerce is the fact that we've lost the physical presence, right? And it's understandable. We benefit from having a lot of things in the digital world brings us benefit, but we've lost the trust. We've lost that being in front of the customer and being able to convey some level of trust. Now, Amazon has spent the last 20 plus years building trust by making sure every single pixel on their page communicates trust. There's a promise. Totally. There's a promise that they make as clear as they possibly can, whether it's arrives by dates. They're communicating everything about that experience to try and replace what's missing from that physical in-store presence. Now, most independent brands do not have that. They're missing it. They don't have it in their stores. And that means that a customer coming to a store today that's not an Amazon store is missing that.
I want to stop you right there for a second because I think that this is really important to actually narrow in on as a principle. Building trust is the most important thing that you can possibly do. I talk about this all the time. This is why I do not take sponsors on in the podcast that I have never tried, that I don't believe in, because you guys, your trust in listening to me on this podcast and on LinkedIn and Twitter and stuff, that's literally the biggest value that I possibly have as a personal brand. Same at the agency, the exact same sort of thing. We live and die on trust. And then with the brands that we own as well. It's so ridiculously important. If I could think of any activity that is a quadrant 2, not urgent, but incredibly important activity, it would be building trust with your customers. It's so important. Avi, like, you nailed it. What does Amazon have? Trust. No one goes on Amazon and thinks that they're going to get scammed. I still remember I got scammed on eBay when I was like 13. I've never bought anything from eBay ever since. Isn't that insane? Like, eBay, massive, but I don't trust. I still don't even know. Can I trust these people on eBay? I don't know. So anyway, I really wanted to make sure that we really honed in on how ridiculously important it is for these trust exercises for you to do with your customers.
I so appreciate that pause, because it's so important not to skip over it, because people think trust is a thing, right? Here's the thing, right? So if I do this and if I change that, it's not a thing. It's almost as amorphous as culture or DNA is to a business. It's all collectively that you do. So it's not just making a promise, but it's how you live up to that promise. Or in instances where you fall short of that promise, how do you compensate for that? All those things.
When you make mistakes, right? That's really important too.
How do you behave? How do you react? How can you be proactive? So we've put a tremendous amount of energy into rebuilding that trust by taking all those little nuances, starting on the product page and trying to communicate as clearly as possible. What will the delivery promise be? Start on that page, just like Amazon does. In checkout, don't show me conflicting options for delivery. Don't show me 2-3 day options at 2 different prices. Or don't show me, 5 options that are confusing, where some are earlier or later. I need anything that you're doing that raises a flag that indicates that you haven't taken the time to review what a customer is being presented is going to impact that trust level. And today, insanely, 7 out of 10 customers that make it to checkout, as if they get to the register, right? 7 out of 10 of them are not going to complete that transaction on average. That's $270 billion in revenues that's left on the table every year because that trust isn't there. And it's a collection of things that are going to contribute to it. And there's lots of opportunity. I'm not going to say that, here's the checklist, but there is a checklist at least to get you started. There's some very obvious things that you can do that can transform that first, especially a first-time customer. We spoke about this before, Jordan, but a first-time customer doesn't know you at all, has never been through the experience. And all they need, and they really do want to buy from that independent retailer. They really want that experience.
They really do. Yeah.
So give them an opportunity. Lay out that red carpet and give them that confidence as if they've walked into your store. Let them buy once, and then you'll see how easy it is to bring them back time and time again, as long as you don't disappoint. Don't make it that eBay experience. Make it the Amazon experience.
Totally. I just want to just throw a quick anecdote in here. So as you guys know, I've got lots of different things on the go, always kind of, here and there. And I really try and support my teams from a really high level and give them a lot of autonomy in what they're doing. I truly believe that autonomy for employees is one of those keys. I mean, Daniel Pink in Drive is just all about this, right? Autonomy is just a huge thing. And so I let people make decisions, whether they're good or bad sometimes. And so my team made the decision to try out PDQ that Avi is using. And I just want to go to new customers. Our new customer rate, since I've only been live for a couple of weeks, and I was actually trying to figure out, I'm like, what did we do? Why is our new, we're doing a few new media buying techniques, but it's up 70%. Our new customer rate is up 70%. I'm like, there's some tweak that we made. And so I went back to the team. I'm like, oh yeah, we implemented PDQ. I'm like, is that it? Is that the reason? I'm trying to find all these other reasons, and I haven't yet. So I'm not going to 100% say that that's the reason, but I have told a lot of people that they should be trying you. So anyway,
Jordan,
people don't
when
even
you,
understand the solution yet. So
yeah, the solution was really built initially to manage that what the things that ShipStation provide, but really ShipStation was built back in 2012. It's a legacy piece of software missing a lot of the key components. And we built a replacement, kind of the way that you think of Sedlane replacing some of these tools today. We built a replacement for ShipStation built for modern commerce. So things that would take you and do take ShipStation users hours every week, tens of hours a week, are reduced to a fraction of that. And
yeah,
consistently, we have brands telling us, I spent 30 hours a week on before PDQ, and now I'm spending 4 or 5 hours a week. So the focus initially was on the operational efficiency of how I can deliver on the promise, because you can make a promise, but if you can't deliver on the promise, what good have you done? And then we expanded that, not just for people that are doing their own fulfillment, but for folks using 3PLs, and continued building that out, but always having the delivery promise in checkout. What changed is at the beginning of 2023, we took a close look at checkout and we realized that we're sitting on a tool and we have the information, all the data that can provide a data-driven arrives by promise on the product page and on the checkout page that suddenly becomes transformative. So number one, we can add the arrives by date accurately. Number two, we can eliminate all that noise where instead of reading your FAQs and terms and conditions, many brands today, when the customer says, I didn't know it's going to take me a week. Well, you didn't read the terms and conditions. It's like saying I didn't read, the book that accompanied my shaver. Obviously I didn't. Or any of those things. No one's going to read those terms and conditions. So you have to provide a clear delivery promise with arrives by dates. We built an A/B testing platform that sits under the checkout. So we're not just assuming that we're having a positive impact, but we can actually measure what it is. That's the control, what's the test. And suddenly when you think about the checkout as the place where the transaction can be completed and all the things that can influence that conversion, you realize that you can take that 70% number, or whatever your abandon rate number is, and start shaving it down. 1% reduction is massive and has a material impact on your profitability because you've already spent the CAC, right? The money spent, customer came, they're there, they're in. So this is just, it's money that's waiting to be actualized. And by putting our focus on checkout, we found that we can actually materially impact, especially first-time customers, because when you are clear to that customer who comes in for the very first time, and you provide that delivery promise and you convey that confidence that I am making a promise I can live up to, and then deliver on it, first they close and then they keep coming back. It has such a material impact on the overall metrics that drive the profitability of any online business.
I got a couple thoughts when it comes to this, and I'm thinking about the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule, and really the Pareto principle is one of those like kind of crazy meta rules that like actually it's like, well, then 80-20 that, and then 80-20 that, and then 80-20 that. And it's a rule, it's a law of the universe. This is not some made up thing that he came up with. He looked in the way that things work, and the 80-20 rule is consistent, right? It is consistent that 20%. And so in business, right, that 20% of your actions, 20% of your customers, 20% of whatever yield 80% of your result. Well, guys, going straight to the checkout, right, where people already want to buy, this is 80-20 at the core. Why would we not start there, right? When we're thinking about CRO activities to do, why would we do anything on the website besides checkout first? That is your 80-20 right there. So this is why we decided to work together. I'd love to know how does this work? Like for people who are like, I don't know, Jord, I don't know, Avi, like it kind of seems like it's like kind of a bit of a pipe dream. First of all, what about our fulfillment times? How in the world do you even know what those are? What if we're busy? Like all of these kind of questions that people are probably having in their mind right now.
So, I mean, there's so much dimension to the checkout. And first of all, we have to give credit where credit's due. Shopify has completely opened up their checkout and their APIs. And again, just recently, further opened up their APIs. And they basically said...
Is it just with Plus? Is it just with Plus, or is that with all of Shopify?
all of Shopify to some extent, right? And then even more with Plus, with the extensions and everything else. But there's like a massive amount that you can do with Shopify out of the box today. And then it takes it to a whole other level once you add the extensions and everything else. And they're pretty intentional about that because some of the additional features really are only relevant to much larger brands. But you're able to do so much more today than even a year ago with Shopify. And when you start thinking about it, they've changed their way of approaching checkout to say, we're no longer this closed toll booth. We want as many transactions coming through our checkout as possible. We're a payment gateway. We want to make it kind of this headless feel. So take it and what is it that you can build on it? Now, once you have that opening and you're really able to look at everything and control everything that's presented to a customer, we start with specifically shipping related information. Going back to your question, Jordan, about how do we know? Because we began by integrating with every possible delivery method, every carrier. We integrate with 3PLs. All this information's flowing in. We're processing millions of checkouts a month, looking at the shippers, the delivery companies, the fulfillment companies. We look at the SLA for 3PLs, make that part of the consideration that goes into what that is. And then we take it a step further and use machine learning to say, now that we have a 3-month history or 4-month history, what actually happens on Mondays at 12 o'clock for orders that get delivered from New York to California that have 6 line items on them that are going to include these particular products? What kind of delivery can we promise for that? And then you no longer need to be considering all the things you think you know, because the data tells us exactly what's going to happen. And now you have data-driven delivery promises. It's a game changer. Because one of the biggest fears brands have, and this is an important one, is that when we present them, we go, whoa, I don't want to make a promise I can't keep. And that is the right approach. You definitely do not want to make a promise you can't keep. But on the other hand, you have to realize that if you're going to say deliveries in 4 to 8 days to a customer, they don't know what you mean. What are days? Do you work on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays? When do you pick pack? What times of the day? So what we're solving is, going back to that trust layer, we're solving you not being sure about what promise to make by taking care of that delivery promise for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me though, why? Why am I getting so many new customers in? Why is that actually working right now to actually be converting these new customers? That it's not like there's more new customers coming to the website right now. Why are they converting? What elements of trust are they seeing that are actually pushing them over the edge?
So let's think of ourselves as customers, Jordan, right? You go to a website and you think, hey, I'm going to buy a baseball bat, right? You go to the website, independent brand, put it into your cart. But then you go, I put it in my cart. When do I want this by? I want it by Wednesday. I have no idea of when that's going to actually happen. What happens if I go to Amazon and I choose a baseball bat? It may not be the same great baseball bat. I don't love the brand, but they're going to tell me on the product page already that I'm going to
exactly when it's coming
on Wednesday. Right.
Yeah.
So I already hit a barrier. I haven't even gotten to the checkout yet. Now I got past that. Okay. I love this brand. I really want this particular baseball bat for my kid. I'm going to get to checkout. I get to checkout. I want it by Wednesday. I don't know what you're telling me. You're saying 5 days, 3 days, 6 days, 8 days. What are you telling me? When are you actually going to pick and pack? So at that point, the fact that I'm losing 7 out of 10, 70 out of 100 customers at that point means that if I can formulate and communicate that delivery in the clearest possible way, I can take that customer who would bolt and go to Amazon or an alternative, which is primarily Amazon, and say, can I get a clear delivery promise? And by giving them that clarity all the way across here, you're taking that customer who would normally leave and complete that transaction. Just to drive that point home, one of the biggest sources of support tickets, and this is gorgeous, they're a partner as well as SendLane. Any one of these folks who have support tickets and have been collecting support tickets for time will tell you that the vast majority of support tickets coming in are Wizmo. What's Wizmo? Where is my order? As soon as you place that order, right, the first thing you say is, so when am I getting it? Because you didn't know.
Yeah.
So
totally.
you want a brand so much and you completed the order, but you still don't know when you're getting it.
Yeah. And imagine for first-time customers, right? Like they're coming to your store, they're like, oh, I love this so much. It's great. But I've got a photo shoot next week. I'm thinking about, some of our brands they're all in apparel, right? Or in something like that, where people are like, they want to get it by a certain time. They have no clue. I wouldn't trust it without that, right? I'd maybe make the purchase and then kind of forget about it, but not if I need it at some certain point. Again, I'm going to go to Amazon, and I don't want to go to Amazon. That's not where I want to go. I actually want to buy directly from retail or from independent retailers, because I understand what they do for our economy and all these things. So yeah, it's a massive problem that you are solving through this one part of PDQ. So
no, it's just one part. And then it kind of keeps coming back, because when you think about it, if you want people to buy your clothes and come back more frequently, what's the best way to make that happen? Is get them the product as quickly as practical, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got it. They're not going to place another order until they get your first delivery. There's no way.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely not.
They're certainly not going to do it if you didn't deliver as promised. So there are so many nuances. I mean, everybody's focusing their energy on top of funnel. How do I get more customers in? But you got a leaky bucket, a very leaky bucket. How do we close up that leakage? Let's start building trust really one step at a time, and start on the product page, continue through checkout, continue through the fulfillment, communicate the customer, be proactive with them, use all the tools you have available today. And suddenly you're going to be spending a lot less to keep customers. You're certainly not going to be chasing them out of the store with, wait, I got this offer for you, right? Which is comical, but that's really how so much energy is spent on top of funnel, and then the chase out of the store, right? Those are the two places where we're spending all our energy and money. Get them in,
totally.
Chase them when they got out. And that's the irony here. We're focused on everything that happens in between.
Yeah. I love it. Guys, again, Avi's not a sponsor of the podcast or anything like that. Highly, highly recommend looking into Pretty Damn Quick, PDQ. I'm a really big fan of these guys, and I would love for more of you to try them out and let me know how it goes. Avi, I got to ask you the question that I ask everyone who comes on the podcast. What is your secret to scaling?
So I would say it's all about, this, but it's all about the team, right? Anybody who's scaling a business, it comes down to really choosing the key people. Surround yourself with the people who have the ability to take the team, people that are smarter than you, that fill the gaps in your knowledge and have the determination to make the business scale.
Awesome. I love it. I got 3 more questions for you. I hope that you're ready.
Fire away.
Okay. First question, favorite tool or app that you are using right now besides PDQ?
I think that as I started learning the ins and outs of ChatGPT, surprisingly, the prompts and the way that you're able to get information has really been a game changer for me. I don't think we fully scratched the surface, but it's really been an eye opener in terms of a new tool.
I saw somebody post recently, hey, is anyone else over ChatGPT? I'm like, no. I use it like hours out of my day to get things done, not including my assistant, who literally everything that she does, she creates a new prompt in a prompt library for, so that she can just keep redoing it. Like it's the most phenomenal invention of our time. Chat, like these new LLMs, like this is our world now. So people were saying, are you overusing ChatGPT? Like, no, are you overusing your eyes? Because I think they were a pretty good invention at one point.
It's still very much in the wow phase where I keep getting wowed.
Yeah.
And it's with that prompting. Using it right, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think what it comes down to with ChatGPT is the person who knows how to ask the best questions will get the best responses. So those great question askers, people who are curious, dang, ChatGPT is like the best. I mean, you have actually the entire world at your fingertips of knowledge. You just have to know what kind of questions to ask. And the problem is, Avi, a lot of people are really bad at asking questions, right?
Yeah.
If anyone here has ever used Fireflies, it's an app that records your conversations. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm in sort of sales calls, quote unquote sales calls, because I never feel like they are. But whenever I'm in those, I'm very cognizant of the percentage of time that I'm spent talking versus the other person. To me, it should always be 80-20 them talking, right? Otherwise, you're just a salesperson who's trying to tell someone and shove it down their throat, right? And that's not what this is about, right? And so it's incredible to see some of these different tools that are built on top of these LLMs because they're changing the world. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's like,
it's a new skill. It actually is going to be the future skill. We think about a lot of skills. AI, for everything it's at, actually is introducing and upping the game for folks to be able to figure out how to prompt and answer the right question. That's the skill.
Totally. And it's actually interesting. This is a hilarious aside that we're going all into this, but it's really interesting when somebody says that they're an AI expert, because actually you're probably a human expert. You're probably really good at figuring things out that humans want to know, not at the tech. Like, sure, you can be a technical AI expert, but those sorts of things you can leave for developers, right? Or you could get ChatGPT to do some developing for you too. But it's really a matter of like, it's funny when somebody says that they're an AI expert, I'm like, well, what kind? Like my uncle actually developed these massive models for healthcare systems in Canada. He is an AI expert. He actually understands how it works. He gave me this like 5-hour presentation over 2 days of how they actually learn. And it's incredible. It was like one of the biggest like brain blow up moments of my life when I saw it. I'm like, oh, this is how AI works. And it's not how AI works. It's how we learn. That's all that it is. AI learns the exact same way that we learn.
Intelligence, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, next question for you. Favorite podcast or audiobook that you're listening to?
What am I listening to? It never gets old for me. Like Good to Great, a friend of mine, I read it like a while ago and bringing it back again, especially you mentioned scaling. So many great principles in that book. I tend to go back to it, and I'm back into it right now.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you. I'm gonna re-listen to that one.
That's what happened to me.
That's a classic. Yeah, and those kinds of books I find really interesting. I put Good to Great in the same as like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and all of these like classics that, I mean, Good to Great isn't even that old, but his wisdom is unparalleled. And I think the reason why you can go back to these books over and over again is because they're principle based. And so it's kind of like turning the diamond, right? It's like every time you read this book, you're actually seeing this little different part through because of yourself, because of the growth that you've had. I remember the first time I've read 7 Habits, I don't even know, 20 times. Every single time it's different. I'm like, have I read this book before? Oh my gosh, because you grow as a person and the way that you see the world looks a little bit different. So Good to Great is one of those examples. I remember the first time I read Good to Great, I still remember where I was. I was at this beautiful resort in Hawaii reading this book, I don't even know how many years ago. And I was like, I don't get this. I don't understand what he's talking about. I have no clue what he's talking about. And then I read it again. And then I read it again. I'm like, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying now. And now probably reading it again after a couple of years, it's gonna look a little bit different. So
same sentiment. Same sentiment. It really changed. You can read these books, especially the classics, and depending on where you are and what chapter of life you're in, you're going to resonate. But there's something that generally will resonate.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to say like there's these certain books where the book reads you, right? And those are some of those. So, Avi, last question for you. You just found out you have a year to live. What changes?
Wow, I have to say that I look at my days now, and I think I'm cheating life a bit by stealing a bit more in the morning, waking up earlier, staying up later, and looking at how I expand the day and try and be as productive as I can. I think if I've got a year, then I switch to travel mode, which is what I love doing. And probably that becomes the priority. You know, I love work. I'm a workaholic, and I really do have a passion for getting things from 0 to 1. It's my crack, my version of it. But I love travel just as much. And I think that would be the switch.
That's awesome.
Travel. Cover more territory.
Do you have a 1 to 10 person in your organizations?
For sure. I think I haven't really learned, honestly, and it's something it's a gap. It's on my to-dos, is finding how to use an assistant in an effective way. I'd say that's one of the things that can be transformational. But my co-founder and I, as a partner, he really is someone that is able to take, between the two of us, it really is a 1 + 1 = 3 or more. He's a multiplier. And that really is extraordinary for me. And I think there are other ways to find multipliers and use them within your framework, within your business, within your life to get a whole lot more done. So that's something that I'm learning every day and trying to get better at every day.
Awesome. Guys, I'm probably going to do a whole podcast episode on this at some point soon because I think it's that transformational. But read a book recently by actually a local guy here, Dan Martell, Buy Back Time. Incredible framework for hiring an assistant. I'm sure we've all read 4-Hour Workweek years ago. I love Tim Ferriss, one of the most influential people of our time. I really do think, and just brilliant guy. But 4-Hour Workweek to me did not quite go all the way with what we needed. And it's old now too. Whereas Buy Back Time gave a really incredible framework and really incredible principles on how to actually do this. So highly recommend for you, Avi, if you've ever thought about hiring an assistant.
Buy Back Time.
Yeah, really, really great. And Dan just happens to be a local guy. I actually just realized that recently. So still trying to get a mountain bike in with him without him trying to charge me for consulting, but it's not happening yet. So maybe I'll just one day just to go on a bike ride.
That's great. Like, I think we underestimate, and I feel it. I feel like there's a lot more potential there that's not actualized. So I'm going to look forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a one coming up here quick. Avi, thanks so much for your time today. This was phenomenal. If I left bigger chunks of time, we would have just kept talking and talking. But today's podcast day, guys. So I'm recording. If you see me in the same shirt on YouTube multiple times, it's because it was the same day.
It's because you have both shirts of the same color.
Oh, and I do. Yes, I actually do. But I think I have like 17 black shirts from Kindred, one of our brands. So
this is all really. Thanks so much. What a privilege to be able to be working with you and to be learning together and growing together. There's so much potential here. We really are so early in this whole world of e-commerce and what's possible. Just exciting to really be in this time at this particular moment.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time.
Thank you.